Hi, this is Pavel with a C# exercise. This is basically a part 2 of my previous exercise where I did the solution for the daily programmer challenge 131, the easy one, from the easy category. If you didn't watch the video, I strongly suggest you do, so you know what we were actually doing there. But basically, just to recap quickly, we were given a number, an integer, that basically meant the number of lines of output. So in this case, 6 meant that we'll be entering 6 strings. We entered the string with 0 or 1 as the first character, and then after that we space, and we got string A, space, and string B. And if we entered a 0, it meant that we had to reverse string A and then compare it to string B and see if they match. If we entered 1, we capitalized string A, and then we were comparing it to string B and making sure they or evaluated if they matched. So we are basically doing like a test, and I decided to do it the regular way in my previous exercise, but now I would like to do a little unit testing just to see how this would actually apply to a unit test. So here's my here's the program I wrote. So again, if you didn't watch this, please watch my previous video where I explain how I came up with this solution. And for the purpose of unit testing, I have the main method, and I have the function that is called from the main method. Now I will take this function, I'll copy paste it to a new class. I will create a class. I will create a class, and I will call it I can even call it class 1, but I'll just call it I don't know, input processing class. Alright, it's just a regular class, nothing special about it. Now you'll paste the function in it. I won't make it static anymore, I'll remove the word static from it. And as you can see, I don't have access to some of these variables, but I don't need them over here. These I can copy because they are not being used in the main method. They are all being used over here. So I will simply paste them to my class. So now I have access to all my variables within the class. Now as far as my main method is concerned, of course I will need to instantiate the class. So I will do variable input class equals new input processing class. There's nothing passed into the constructor, so that's all I have to do. And over here, when I call in one of the method, the process input, which is this one, the method in the class, now I have to change that to the object-oriented kind of way to call the method. So our input class dot process input. Let me see, this one doesn't work still. It's inaccessible. Oh, okay, because when I created the class, I want to make it, of course, public. It's a public class. So now it should be accessed or available. Still not. Why not? That might be because, oh yeah, the method itself needs to be public as well. I mean, it's a public method, so there you go. So now I have it. Let's quickly test it just with one of these inputs. So it's gonna be everything still should work just the same. So I will enter, but I will only enter one string, and I will enter 0. What was that again? One of these. let's say car and R-A capital C. Okay, so car and R-A capital C, and we got good test data. Okay, so everything seems to be working as it was as it was before, but now we have this in a separate class, and we are creating the class, and we're dealing with the class directly. Okay, so now how to do the unit testing? Well, I'll go to my Solution Explorer. I'll click on my solution, not the namespace, but all the way to the top solution. I right click it and I click new project, and I will click test under my Visual C#. I will click test, unit test, and I'll call it input process test, input process test. It's actually more like output process, but whatever. So now I will create my test class, unit test. Now I'm checking, this class to make sure that the strings that we input in, we get the correct output out. So I still need to treat it as a regular class for now. So it's gonna be, I'm sorry, before we do that, if I go to my Solution Explorer, in the unit process test, I have to add a reference. So right click, add a reference to the project with the namespace dp131, which is where the class I'm going to test resides. So I'll add that, and over here I have to do using and import the namespace, which is this one. So now I have access to this class and the methods and functions inside of it. So I will declare the class again. I will just call it my class, and it equals new, and it's gonna equal new process. What did I call it? Input processing class. So now I have my class created, and now I can test it. So there's three things. First, I will do the expected output. Expected. All right, and that's going to be, let's say I expect it to return good. Let me see, which one was it? I expected this one. So this is what I expect from the class to return. Now, the actual, which is called actual, and it's a string because the input, the process input method of that class returns string. So my string actual equals, I will call the method, the process input method in the class, this method. It's like, again, it's like a regular, you instantiated a class and now you accessing the methods. And I will enter one of the test strings that's supposed to come up with the good test data. So our first one over here is supposed to return good test data. So let's see. So I will pass that directly into the class. And now we have to compare that, the results. We have to compare the expected and actual if they match. So the way to do that is use the word assert, the keyword assert, and are equal, and the ones that we want to be equal is expected and the actual. So the expected is basically what we expect it to return, and actual is what the class or what the method, what the function returns from that class. And now we compare them. Okay, so we can run that. I will go to Solution Explorer. I will build it. And I will go to my test. I don't know if you can see that. Over here, the test, Windows, Test Explorer. I'll try to move this a little. So I'm going to, did I build it? I think I did. I'll rebuild it anyway. It's rebuilding it. And it should show over here. It's still building. Yeah, there you go. So now we have our test method 1, which is the test method 1. Now I can right click it and run selected test. So it's running and we have a green check mark, the method passed. If I open the test, if I right click it and click open, this is, it will just bring me to the method. And I don't know if you can see it over here, down here, it says test pass. So we have it confirmed. Now, let's say I expect something like this. So when I run it now, it should give me a fail. I'll build it again, right click and rebuild. I don't know if I had to actually. Anyway, and we have the method and I will run the selected test. Oh, didn't pass. If I again click on it over here, you cannot see that, but it says that the message says asserts are equal failed, expected good test data with exclamation point, but got the good test data without the exclamation point. I don't know if you can see that. Actually, how about I move it up here? Sorry about that. Here's the message, you can see that. So this is our test, so for this particular string. Now we can do more tests. I will copy this, paste it, and I'll call this method 2. Normally you would call it something a little more, something you know what it means rather than just method 1 and 2. I will do this one. And for this string, we expecting mismatch, bad test data. So I will pass the string in there. I will not change it yet. I will simply wait and see if we get the error, which we should. If I build it, we got the test method 2 now here available. This one still shows as failed because from the past run, I will run it again. Now it passes because we fixed that, and I will run this one now, and this one should fail. Oh, I didn't run it yet. So why do I have a test method 2 failed? See, and it failed because we were expecting good test data and received bad test data. But in reality, I just wanted to show you that it's gonna fail. What we actually are expecting is obviously mismatch bad test data. So this is our expected output, and now we can test it again. And now it passed. Now we have both of them passed. And we could do it like this for various strings, like the ones that you know know what the expected output is. So for example, I'm expecting mismatch bad data for the discuss string. So I have already that. So I will copy the string, enter it here. This is a method 3 now, and I'm expecting mismatch data. So let me build that. Now I should get 3 methods here. And I have 2 of them that passed already before that we ran. Now we can run this one, and this one should pass as well. And it did. And we can run all 3 of them by simply going to tests, run all tests, and it will run all 3 of them, and all 3 of them pass. So this is a basic unit testing. Again, you treat it as a regular class. The class that you are testing, you still have to instantiate it. so you can access the methods that you want to test. And you have a expected data, and you have the actual data. The actual, in our case, is basically the output or whatever is returned from the process input function of the input processing class. And we store that whatever is written in our actual, which is a string, and then we will use the assert that are equal keywords, and we will compare the expected and the actual, and we will see whether the test passes or not. Over here, this is nothing. This is just that I renamed it to method 3. So now I 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so like I said, this was a simple example of a unit test of the same exercise we did before. If you run it, the unit test doesn't run when you click start. It simply runs, from the main method of the program. So I will do again car and I got good test data. And if I do something that doesn't match, like I do 0 alpha, and I got a mismatch. So the program still works, but the unit testing tests specific portions of each class. In our case, the method, and you would do that to verify, that the data that come in are all processed correctly. Now I could make it fail simply by, and I'll show you. If I go to my unit test, we expect 0 or 1 only, and we never really check in whether it is 0 or 1. We simply assume it is. So if I enter here 2, for example, and I run the test method 1 again, now it will fail because we don't expect 2. I mean, there's no functionality associated with 2. If we go to our here, we simply check if it's what is that? We check whether it's 0 or 1. I mean, we don't check if it's a 0 or 1. We only assume that it's a 0 or 1. We assign the reverse, which is our 0, else. In other words, when it's 2, when I entered 2, it wasn't 1, so I mean it wasn't 0, so it skipped it and it went to else over here, and it tried to do the uppercase and it didn't match. But normally you could also use else if this is equal to capital, in other words, if it's equal to 1, and then it would fail as well, because again, we only have 0 or 1. We don't expect the input to be 2. Okay, so here you have it. That's how it works. A basic unit testing. I hope it helped you, and I'll see you next time. Take care.